Okay, the Horizon report, we don't have. So now we go to 5 consent agenda. Everything okay with that, with everybody? Okay, moved and seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, 5.1 is 6, business arising from the minutes, none.
I don't think so.
7, staff reports and other business. 7.1, CAO verbal update.
Hi, everyone. Wish I had something more exciting to say, but I do have nothing to report today. I
Okay,
have had a great time doing. And phone calls will have in the future.
yeah, wonderful. Okay, request for decision, temporary use permit number 74, Fortis BC Energy Incorporated, Electoral Area D at 7.2. So do we have,
Anna's turn.
Good morning, directors.
hello, Anna.
Hi, yeah, so I can speak to this item. This is an application by Fortis BC for a 3-year temporary use to allow infrastructure that will support the construction of the wood fiber gas pipeline project. And so that includes company field offices, contractor field offices, personal lunchrooms, heater washer facilities, and wash stations. As these structures are not permitted in the associated zoning, a temporary use permit or a rezoning is required. Building permits will also be required for the structures if approved. In terms of servicing, they're proposing to use propane for heating, generator for electricity, and a septic tank for waste. And water will be brought on site. In terms of site disturbance, there will be clearing associated with building footprints only, with remediation that will take place after the removal of temporary buildings. And so this site is rather remote, located roughly across Howe Sound from Britannia Beach. So there was no residence within 150 meters of the proposed site for the purposes of notification. However, notice was posted in 2 issues of the local newspaper. And this concludes the summary of this application. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Is there any questions?
Yeah, can you tell me exactly where it is, please?
The geographic location?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's on the other side of Howe Sound, from kind of looking across from Britannia Beach. Is quite a remote area.
yeah, it just wasn't clear from the map. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you have if there were a third map just showing house, I was guessing that's where it was, but I wasn't sure because there's another place up outside of Squamish, up beyond Ring Creek, where I know Fortis are doing something, and that would be in Area D as well. So an extra map would have helped. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Just on the wastewater, it says that it'll go to the nearest community. Is that going to be Squamish's wastewater system?
Yes, I believe so.
It better be.
And where are they getting the water from? If they're bringing the water also from Squamish?
So the non-potable water for the washrooms will be from wood fiber LNG, whereas potable water, they're just bringing tanks of water on site. I'm not entirely sure from where specifically.
And it says they got to get a permit from Ministry of Transport. Is that area there I think let me just go back up a bit. Yeah, they have to get applicable permits for that subject property from Modi. I'm just curious, is that a body right away there that they're in, or? Why would they have to get it from Marty?
The Ministry of Transportation is often referred such applications, and sometimes they have comments regarding just placement of washroom facilities and such. So it's not always applicable, but they will have a look at this permit.
No. The reason I'm asking these questions is, BC Hydro will be doing a work camp bigger than this one in Area A in the future, and they'll need a temporary use permit to put it in wherever they put it in, so, thank you.
I just wondered about the comment. First of all, when I see some of the issues with permitting in Fortis and Squamish, it makes my little antenna go up. But I see this statement that this is expected to be a net positive for the residents of the SLRD and member municipalities. And I wondered how we were calculating that as a net positive.
Yeah, so it's just a comment with regard to just improvement of the gas delivery network. They are supplying Squamish as part of that service, so it was a comment from that perspective that it would help gas delivery to Squamish and potentially some SLRD residents. Not entirely sure if anyone in the SLRD is connected as well or not at this point in time.
So Squamish might see some benefit. There's a potential for that. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this at the board, I guess. Okay. Thank you.
So we would just move receipt of this?
So you recommend to the board? Yeah.
Yeah, move receipt and recommend it to the board.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move that. Seconded.
Perfect.
Okay. Call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. 7.3, request for decision, Blackcomb Snowmobiles Limited, Area D, public hearing waiver for bylaw number 1827-2024.
I have some questions about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand that we're able to waive the public hearing, but I'm not entirely certain that we should. I just, there are a couple of sentences in there. One of them part of the effect of this would be to recover tenure area relinquished prior to the 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. So I have a question about that. Does this affect in any way ongoing competition events at Whistler Olympic Park? Because they are, as you know, there are significant international events happening at the Olympic Park. And I don't know what do they want to take back? What are they recovering? Are they recovering something which is going to impede the ability of the Olympic Park to run its events? The objective of this proposal is to allow BSL to expand its operational tenure and increase product offerings. That could be quite significant. It might be, well, we're going to have 5 tours instead of 4. It might also be that we're going to expand by our operations by 20, 30, 40%. There's no limit put to that. So my question there is, what impact does this have on other users of the valley? Because they're not the only people up there. And the reason I'm not sure why waiving the public hearing is right is based on past experience. We had a proposal must be 8 years ago now to build some worker housing in the Callahan Valley and to expand, and it might have been this company, I'm not sure who it was, but the effect that we had a public hearing And it was in Worcester Library, and it was packed. There was a huge amount of interest in what was going to happen in that valley.
Yeah.
During COVID, Worcester Olympic Park wanted to add a campground. And we had a virtual public hearing for that. And we got a lot of response, and not just from the Zoom meeting, but we got a lot of written responses as well. So anything that happens in there, there's a strong interest from the local community, which basically is Whistler. So I'm just not sure we should go ahead and do this, and then just tell Whistler, hey, it's happened, you know. And it's, you know, it's not just, if it were, well, a TUP's been operating there for years. It ran out, took them 2 months to apply for the next one, or rezoning. What we were going to do is say, there's the TUP, we want it exactly the same, we just want to zone now, then I would feel okay, waive the public hearing, because nothing's really changing, but it's not, you know, changes have been introduced. They're looking for 12 more campsites. They're looking for 3 dwelling units, plus the things I've already mentioned. So that's a long way of saying, I think we should have a public hearing.
Second.
So,
Yeah, I've got 2 questions, Anna. When I was at the Local Government Leadership Academy a couple of weeks ago. Oh.
I have.
That topic came up about public hearings, and the act is going to change. How does this, with that change, how does it affect us with this public hearing? Because I'm in agreement with Tony. So, and the second question is, if we recommend to the regional board that we would like to see a public hearing, how does that work? Because this has got to go to the board. So those 2 questions.
Yeah, so we don't anticipate that the recent local government act changes would impact the public hearing. We can still hold this public hearing if the board decides so. And I would have to confirm with Kim, but I believe that if it is recommended by the board of directors to hold this public hearing, then we can just go ahead and do that, have a first reading and then hold a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not comfortable. What I would prefer us to do is refer to the board and suggest that we hold the public hearing. And if you know, if Whistler directors feel that it's not really necessary and make a convincing argument, then I could be swayed. But I'm not comfortable with us saying to the board, we recommend that we waive the hearing. So I have to put that in a positive way. So we've got, I'm looking at what we've got on here somewhere. Where is it? Options.
this would be option 2, what you're saying.
Do not waive the public hearing. Yeah. So that's what I would be wanting to move here. That's what I will move here.
Do you have something?
No, I would second that.
Okay, so yeah, and I'll just say I totally agree. Like, I think like you made the point, if it's just a mundane, you know, change, then sometimes we don't need to have these public hearings. But I think when there's something substantial happening, I think we should absolutely have these public hearings to let people voice their opinion and get their opinion out. Because otherwise, if we don't have the public hearing, we're making that decision for them. And maybe we're not making the right decision. So I totally agree.
I got
So
one more question,
yeah.
and this is for Angela. Have you been updated on the new act regarding public hearings?
We have Through the chair, we have received some correspondence, but I would certainly defer this to Kim and her department around the public hearing piece, but we can certainly bring back some additional information
Yes, please.
to a future meeting around the updates and the impacts that it will have on the public hearing process and the ability for the board to waive.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
I'll just emphasize what I said to start with. It may be quite legal for us and we may have the ability to waive it. But we also have the ability to say we're going to have a hearing. And I think that's what we should do in this case.
so moved and seconded. Okay, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay. Now, 7.4 information report, February 2024 selectments. Morning, Suzanne and Colin.
Good morning, everyone. The first report that I'm presenting here is the select service report. You'll notice that for each service, there are 2 reports. The first being the final report for 2023, and the second being the first report of 2024. Does anyone have any questions on the items in these reports?
Tony?
Yeah, in the area D, in the 2023 allocations committed, House Sound Secondary School scholarships 2024 to 2026, it's got $12,000. So my question is, do I need to do anything, or what do I need to do to get this year's $4,000 sent to the school? Do I need make a resolution, or will it happen automatically?
We can send that out automatically. We wouldn't need another resolution.
So if I just say to you now, could you do it now? Well, now, like when it's convenient, you know what I mean? If you could proceed with that, that would be great. I can remember to keep looking at that thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
Good, thank you very much. And sorry, so the same would be true for Whistler Secondary School.
Yeah, noted.
I spent a long time comparing those 2 pages on things, trying to understand. Thank you for that explanation. That was my only question, it's in the comparisons.
Okay, any other questions for these guys? No, you're good? You're good? You're good?
Move to see.
Okay, move to see, seconded. Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Good. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you. So the second report that I have to present is an information report on the current reserve balances for 2024 for the Community Works Fund reserves, the BC Hydro PILT reserves, and the Community Amenity Reserve balances. This report includes estimated 2024 revenues, which include grant payments and estimated interest. And it also includes expenses that have a currently passed resolution up to January's board meeting. I will just note that there was a resolution for $40,000 for the Squamish Climate Action Network that is not included in this report. So that would reduce the Southern PILT Reserve Fund by $40,000.
And I have some ideas around electoral area B. I think there's a couple things in the works, so maybe in the next couple of weeks, we could have a conversation about where we're at with some of those.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And sorry, I just wanted to note one other thing, was that the community works funds for 2024, we don't know what we're going to be receiving yet. So we're assuming that it'll be similar to what we received last year. So that's what you'll see with the community works funds balance, although that's not confirmed. So for community works funds, we might not be able to get too deep into spending 2024's amount yet because we don't know what that amount's going to be. And that's all. Thanks.
You guys are all okay with that? Vivian?
Yeah, you know, I'll follow up with the conversation with the
Okay.
guys for a couple of things that are in the works.
You okay, Tony?
Yep,
Sal?
You proceed.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried.
These are my favorite financial reports to look at.
Thank you very much. Now, we go to 7.6.
So this report is requesting some allocation of community works funds for the Pemberton and Rescue Fire Training Facility. It's a total of $110,000.
Yeah, and I will, I'll move that. Seconded.
Good on you.
I got a question. Where's it gonna be located?
It's out at the airport.
Okay,
So, yeah, when I was the fire chief at the time, I got counsel to we subdivided, shall we say, a piece of land off at the inside the airport boundaries, dedicated to the fire department for a training center. Search and rescue is right beside that. So those lands are dedicated to the two departments. And they've been, you know, we built a live fire training center there. Now they're just going to enhance it and all that stuff. So this is really good. And it'll provide training for, you know, anybody in the corridor and elsewhere. So it's good. It'll be a certified facility. That's good. So anyways,
Nice.
moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Information report. 7.7. Information report 2024 to 2028 electoral area directors draft budgets. Suzanne or?
That would be me. Yes. Hi, EAD committee. It's Suzanne LaFrance, Director of Finance. And I'm just going to share my screen so we can go over the items for the budget. And here we are. So just let me know when you see my screen.
yep.
All right. So these notes include the non-market change for the EADs. And so overall, the assessment values changed by 7.55% over 2023's revised roll, which is the last roll we have for 2023. There is still a final roll to be coming in March for 2023. And I can't seem to scroll. 1 second here. What the hell is going on? Sorry, the computer is just absolutely frozen and making funny noises.
Just hit it softly.
Can I throw it out the window?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Page up.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and try to reshare.
We all got it here?
Yeah, I'm
Pull
looking
it
at
up.
it.
If needed, we'll
Yeah,
allow
go.
Suzanne one more time.
Yeah, I got it.
It's still not working, which is not gonna work for me. So I know that you all have it, but I also need it as well. Let me try something
If you're not
else.
sharing your screen, does it work then for you?
I just can't scroll for some reason. And apologies, I'm so exhausted as I haven't slept for about a week and a half because of my broken ankle and trying to sleep on my back with my leg up. So apologies, my brain is not working as well as normal, and I can't figure out what's going on here.
Hey Suzanne, we can pull it up and you can say scroll down, next page, etc. If that helps.
Sure, that'd be great.
We'll do that ourselves here, but then can she see anything at her end?
That's what.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Okay. So I'll just speak to the non-market change assessment. And when we look at the overall change in assessments, the non-market change is actually in the majority of the change, just over 50%. So 52% of the assessment change from the revised rule to the completed rule is actually a non-market change. And there's different non-market items. So it could be a change in property class, it could be inventory increases. And I tend to just focus on the inventory increases because those are, they hit the assessment tax base and allow for absorption of taxes in a greater tax base. So if you can scroll down a little bit to the bottom of this page, and I just talk to the inventory changes. And so the majority of the increased inventory occurred in Area C, where there was 39% inventory change as a percent of the total Area C assessment change. So of Area C's total assessment change from 2023 to 2024, 39% was actually due to inventory. And Area D is also fairly high at 17%. And I don't have details as to where these inventory changes happened because the assessment rule, the report that comes is so very large and detailed that it'll probably take a day just to sort through. And so I'll go to the next page. So these budgets are looking at these services listed on this page. And I'll just go into what the requisition is for these draft budgets. The civic addressing has no requisition change, or no requisition at all. We're using current reserve funds. The building inspections requisition is reduced by 29% in these draft budgets, or 40,000 reduction for a total of 95,961. Elections and UBCM requisition is flat to last year. And then the emergency planning requisition is also flat to last year in these budgets. And overall, combined, the EAD services have reduced requisitions. So $1 million property would pay an average $20 less than in 2023. And we'll just scroll down a bit more. And so these budgets include the 3.4% increase for CPI and also the change in position from the emergency planning coordinator to emergency planning manager. And that would obviously be in the emergency planning cost center. And salaries also include any incremental salary increases estimated through the year and an 8% benefits increase. The full 5-year draft financial plans are included in this package. And Does anybody have any questions on any specific cost centers? I know civic addressing, there's not a lot going on, so I'll assume that there isn't, but just to ensure, does anybody want to talk about civic addressing?
Vivian?
Just, thank you, just through the chair, my only little project on the High Line, but that's separately funded, so it's irrelevant to this discussion, right? But that is something that's happening in civic addressing, I hope. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you. And the building inspections budget, overall, there was a large surplus carry forward that's been adjusted because the 2023 forecast figures have been closer to final. They're not completely final at this point, however. And I did add a $15,000 contingency expense in 2024. And I typically do that when there's unknowns and just to ensure that there's actually some carry forward into the next year. Because with these building inspection revenues, it's all just a big estimate. I'm basically basing it off of the last 5 years of building inspection revenue, but there is no guarantee that we will receive the same level that we have been receiving in future years. So it's just a little bit of a extra contingency just in case. And I normally do this when there's huge surplus carry forwards in 1 year to avoid any dips and increases. So this is taxation, so to avoid any big increases in the following year. Any questions on the building inspection cost center? Okay. And then we'll go to scroll down to the elections and UBCM service. So this hasn't changed since you've seen it in January. And it includes the 5-year plan, however. And I think there was just a minor change in interest income earned on this service. So are there any questions on this cost center? So it includes the 12,000 estimated for UBCM. And of course, if we don't spend this or if the members don't join the UBCM, it'll just carry forward to the next year. Okay, is it safe to move to emergency planning?
Yep, thank you.
All right. So this emergency planning has been updated with the current 2023 actuals we have posted. There is a current surplus carrying forward, and that's due to savings and operating expenses of about 35,000, increased interest and time allocation revenue of about 24,000, and funding for the GIC contract, sorry, GIS contract that wasn't budgeted in 2023. It includes EOC laptop renewals, and there's lots of carry forward projects, but there's also plugs for potential grants that we haven't received yet and funding for EOC events. And I also added a 30,000 contingency in this service as well. And that's more so because emergency planning, we are coming up to a lot of different legislation and just to ensure that we have coverage for any unknown expenses that might come about in 2024 and also to help smooth the requisitions in future years. So if this isn't spent, it's just moved to the next year, just like all other expenses. And what I did with this version of the draft emergency planning service is increase the emergency planning reserve. So that's why I kept the requisition flat to last year. And then I moved 45,703 to the emergency planning reserve. So now it's close to the minimum requirement. And it's 110,891, which is close enough. I feel that we don't need to increase that reserve any further this year. Any questions on emergency planning?
Sense?
Okay. And then finally, it's just the wrapping up this cost center that you won't see coming forward any longer as the service has been divided into the 4 specific regional parks and trails, which I'll have discussions with each member about shortly, as soon as their time allows, basically. And yeah, I guess that's it for my presentation, and I'll just open it up for questions on any specific items.
Any questions from anybody?
No, this is well explained, well presented.
Are we
happy?
Just about parks, I'll wait until I have my meeting with Suzanne.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And my next question to the EAD committee is to potentially pass or approve some of these budgets. For example, I think this one, electoral area community parks, 3,000, we can approve, and I don't need to bring this back in March. If the EAD committee agrees, it's not going to change any at all.
I'm
As
happy
well
with
as-
it. Okay. Want to do them one at a time?
Sure, so
Move the part.
we're gonna move that, and second it. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So that's
The
the
parks.
parks.
Yeah, and I think just the civic addressing and the elections UBCM would be the other 2 that I would recommend. Building inspections and emergency planning still might change with 2023 invoicing coming through, but I'm 100% confident that the civic addressing and the UBCM elections service can be approved. They're not going to change for 2023.
Okay, okay, moved and seconded on the civic addressing. I call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. And then also on elections, UBCM. Moved and seconded, and I will call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So there you go, those 2. Is there any more?
That's all that I would recommend. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks, Suzanne, good job as usual.
Thank you.
A motion to receive, Russell?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, motion to receive, moved and seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. What time are we doing lunch today? Okay, cool. Correspondence for action. Request for funding, Whistler Adaptive Sports Program, Ethan Hess 23-24. Nice. Para Nordic ski season trip fees. I will move this. And we found a second. Okay, so you found a way to operate. Excellent, thank you. So moved and seconded, call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Request for funding, Burke Recreation and Cultural Society Easter event. And I will move that.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. 8.3, request for funding Lillooet Secondary School, Lillooet and Community Bursary Committee bursary funds.
And I'd like to move to fund this from electoral area B select funds for $5,000 for the Lillooet and Community Bursary Committee.
Okay. Okay, moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Decision on additional late business.
The flooring. We have one more.
What's that?
Late business. Is there any additional late business to be added?
I'd just like to note that I haven't got any.
Okay, so now we have late business. correspondence for action, request for funding, Gold Bridge Community Club.
Don't we have to vote on accepting it?
What has
No.
late business?
No.
So, no, I don't.
This is not additional late business, this is.
Just came in late.
Just late to the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
unless you want
No.
to. Correspondence for action, request for funding, Gold Bridge Community Club, Community Hall Flooring Project and asbestos testing.
Yes, just like to talk to it a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
In correspondence with them, especially since we've got the new asbestos regulations and everything that's going on at Gun Lake with asbestos testing. Knowing that any flooring that would go to our transfer station would have to get asbestos testing. Unless it was, they had a building permit prior to when the asbestos testing regulation went in. So I think it was 1996 or something like that. So they couldn't approve it. So I recommended to them that they do the asbestos testing. Going to NTIT, I look back at one of the funding requests and, you know, even NDIT would be looking at something like this. So it was good to have it in there, and they'll give a receipt to staff once they get it done. And I know Vivian had a question, what happens if it is? The report will tell them what they need to do. And they've actually, their plan is actually a good plan, because they're gonna be laying down a film first over top of it. But they still would have to do that as per WorkSafe BC regulations. Is everybody aware of the new regulations that were enacted this year in January?
No.
Yeah, there's new regulations on asbestos and for workers, WorkSafe BC. It was the #1 cause of deaths in BC last year. Because of what's happened in the past, and everybody now is
Well,
have
work-related
those effects.
Take
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So it's important. So I'll move this.
Through the chair, can I just make a
Yeah.
clarification on it? The way it words, it says funding of 2,000 from electoral ACE electrons to support GBCC Community Hall Flooring Project and to cover any additional expenses related to asbestos testing. Is that $2,000 meant to cover both those items? 'Cause it sounds like the "and" is an open amount.
The 2,000, yeah, the and is an open amount.
Can we put a cap on it? Can we put a cap on the open amount? Because open amounts are a bit too vague and free. So can we put a cap on how up to, like, and cover any additional expenses related to asbestos testing of the existing flooring materials up to?
Okay, 5,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So do we have to move that amendment then, or?
No, the Sal's making a motion on the fly, right?
Yep.
So,
Okay,
so what is your motion?
What it has written there with up to 5,000 added at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I understand.
Fund receipt.
okay, so moved and seconded,
Yep.
call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried.
And then Sal, this is partly for leverage for the NDIT application,
Yes.
right? And so it's important, this will be in the minutes as a resolution, so.
No, there's another resolution that I've taken to the board. It has to go to the board.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be giving that today because we got the 2-week timeline done. That's right, bang your head.
Business is.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, 11, director's notice and motion, none? That's because the next one,
I'll move adjournment.
Mr. Rainbow,
I'll move adjournment.
very good,
Yeah.
that's his job,
No argument.
the senior fellow. Well done.